Okay, good morning. This is day 62 of making little videos about the day I thought in the life of the schizophrenic Dom, or Dominic, me. And I make these videos to express some sanity and some thoughts and some books that I read eh, that explain sometimes what's going on with schizophrenia and to show that I am not crazy, even though the world turned things around on me and said I was crazy. Uh, in day 17 and day 45 of these videos, which can be found on my pinned threads post and pinned Facebook post, the comment section. On day 17, I talk about why I choose to describe myself as a schizophrenic rather than targeted individual. In day 45, I talk about why I choose to, or why I choose to do these videos. In the first 3.5 minutes of day 45's video, it has a little intro for that thing. I'm also writing a book on medium.com called Unveiling the Schizophrenic Tradition, in which I discuss my experience and my knowledge of particular technologies that can explain the schizophrenic experience. It is a reality to be experienced, and much of it is due to political warfare. Okay, so I'm going to go into my talking points today. For these purposes of these videos, I talk about sometimes little entries that I read really slowly out of books, and then I report out and I kind of document my daily readings here. I guess this will be record for when I die because I don't think anything's gonna happen before I die. I think I'm gonna be considered a schizophrenic for my whole life, and uh, I'm even calling myself schizophrenic because I'm just embracing the whole thing because I think schizophrenia should be examined, as I explained in those other videos. Okay, so in today's books that I was reading out of Fingerprints of the Gods still. And in that book, he's still talking about the cosmic mill and the dog example of the dog tale in like flooding tales that are commonly had around the world in various mythologies throughout time and place. And in this case, he's talking about Orion, the Greek hunter, and the idea that Orion was a, the Greek hunter that had a dog that was a loyal companion, and in that mythology, the dog, when it dies, goes in and becomes Sirius. When the tail of the dog becomes the star installation Sirius, and Graham Hancock is just saying that, like, okay, this is an example of how these mythologies could be related to the constellation in the sky and how they are part of the procession of equinox, and that there's some sort of commonality and there's some sort of story being told, and he's going to get into it. And I'm just learning about it, so I'm getting into these things, and I've described them over the last few days on these videos. So still learning about that or whatever. So getting in more into like the commonality of the usage of dogs in these mythological tales. So yeah. Okay, so the I'm just gonna get into a little bit about like the political warfare with regards to the targeted individual program and schizophrenia and all that. And these people are like psychic vampires. They do this in I think Hoover, the guy that was J. Edgar Hoover, described the conspiracy that was so grand that it was you were struck by how insane it was when you came to face with it. You're overwhelmed by it and stuff. And I don't remember the exact terminology he used, but he also described that he could describe the system called death by 1,000 cuts. And it's kind of interesting, yeah, like when you're reading in the media or you're going around town or you're just examining things, they wage like a psychological war on you, and it's like a death by a thousand cuts. And it's the Germans, East Germans called it Zersetzung and all that stuff. And yeah, so but they're like psychic. I call it psychic vampires or whatever. And this is done through a lot of different ways. In most recent example for me, I've described over a number of months now, that even a year or so, that I've experienced being followed by people in black shirts everywhere I go. And there's like this black shirt brigade, and it's like, I don't know if it's a reference to the black shirts of like Italy or Germany, or I think where it was in the 1940s, or I think it was Germany with the black shirts, or I think it was Italy. I don't remember. I, I've lost track of that. But I think it's Italy. And so but the black shirts, people follow me around in these black shirts. Oftentimes, there's like a racial connotation to the targeting, where they're like everyone wearing the black shirt will be of the same race, and they're trying to imprint some sort of idea on me with regard to race or whatever. They're operationalizing race in the targeting program. And most recently, I went out shopping, and basically in the last month or so since Trump kind of took over, I've experienced kind of like a change in the clientele that follows me. They look different, like they just feel different. It's not the same people that were following me before. Not that the people that were following me before were great or whatever, but they felt better. It felt like people that were had a more of a positive attitude towards me than the people now. And so the people, it just feels different. Like, like it feels like the Elon Musk bro thing. And Elon Musk even wears all black, and he wore the black hat and all the black outfit in the Oval Office. And so, in my experience now, I was experiencing going around the stores, and there was all these people of the same race. I don't want to say what race it was or whatever, but they were all wearing black, and some of them were making physical gestures that were like trying to intimidate me, and they were almost like they were threatening, like they could physically assault me or something. And I guess my thought on that is that there's the people that are interested in me are so powerful that uh they control all of human history, and even maybe even the universe. So I have like people that are interested in me that are rulers of the universe for all of history. And I don't know how long it's going to last in the future, but that's how powerful these people are. So I'm not really afraid of some random black shirt Elon Musk guy. Uh, they don't scare me or whatever. So, but they tried to intimidate me, and there was recently an attack on the news of a mob of teenagers beating up a guy in a red shirt. I think this is supposed to be a reference to me. In when I write my book, I write that we should have a wedding of systems, that we don't need to conflict between us and China and us and social democracies. And I'm actually a social democrat. I will say this right now, that in the scheme of things, when I look at the earth and I see like where we are in the earth, I I I think I'm a social democrat. I'm not a Chinese communist. I'm not a Soviet socialist, but I think if you look at what has worked, there's like some amount of benefit to be had in social democracy. And I'm actually just recently subscribed to a book coming out by this lady named Elle Griffin, and it's an interesting concept that I'll just throw out there. But the idea that we should all become the the ownership realm should be widely dispersed among the population, because right now, like for instance, in the stock market, 92% of the stock market is held by 10% of the population. There's just the capitalist class has gone into it's not, she says, the lady says that it's not the Adam Smith capitalism of the year of the past, because there's just more and more wealth in the hands of fewer and fewer people. So it's really it's a different kind of system than what had been in the past. And maybe it expanded and then it's retracting into fewer hands now. So yeah. Anyways, so the guy was wearing a red shirt. It's supposed to be like socialism, and these teenagers were beating the guy in the street, and it was all a bunch of Latino teenagers in black, and that's the Elon Musk uh outfit. So I don't take for that what you will, and who knows what that is. Hopefully that was a fake beating. I'm hoping the guy didn't really get hurt or whatever. So it was on Wilshire Boulevard, which my family likes to call Bullshit Boulevard, or my grandpa called it Bullshit Boulevard. Uh, anyways, so uh, I'm not uh, I'm not saying that about Wilshire, but so because it's on Wilshire Boulevard, I'm thinking like hopefully it's BS and they they were performing a stunt. But I don't know. Maybe it was just some crazy fascist mob action by teenagers, and I don't really know. But I think it was done to intimidate me. And like I say, I would be a little afraid of teenagers because teenagers don't understand the power dynamics of the world, so they could be emboldened to attack me. And now, if you know anything about the world right now, it's probably not a good idea to attack me. I'm not trying to intimidate people or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, the people that are obsessed with me are very powerful people, and if something happens to me, something bad is going to happen to other people. And I'm not for that. I'm not for anything happening to other people, so I don't want that to happen, but I guess I'll just let people know. So okay, so China technocracy. In my David A. Hughes book, he's talking about the technocracy, and he's discussing how the United States built up China. And it's very interesting because now we have like a situation where the technocracy is starting to come to the United States, and the idea of a social credit system and all that. And I'm one to where you take these contradictions and you try to create a synthesis in the system. And I think the world is already going that way with the social credit system and stuff. I find problems with the social credit system. I'm not really up on technocracy for eliminating democracy and stuff. So I actually prefer democracy, and I think that we need to protect democracy in this country. And the antagonism with China is done in such a way that uh, we're leaning towards like a fascist area instead of the technocracy with China. We're going towards like a fascist technocracy with like Elon Musk and the tech companies and the brain control and all that and stuff. And so I don't think that we need the antagonism with China to the point where like we are so fearful of China that we don't take into account any of the successes they've had in what they've done. But I definitely am. I will say that I have a good amount of distaste in social credit systems and technocracy. So yeah, that's where I land on that. In learning about David A. Hughes, but it's kind of interesting that the United States did build up China and invested heavily and created the technocracy that exists there. And now we're seeing a rollout here. So, okay, so I got to stop here. So, thank you so much for listening to me today. Have a good day, guys. All right, goodbye.